first, I'm Jenna Wolf. This is Nick Wright. And in for Chris Carter this week is Chris Broussard. I'm not good with names, so it's just great that if your last name was Carter, that would help me out even more, but I'll take Broussard.
We have a disproportionate number of Chris's on this show. Chris Canty's on today.
Chris Canty.
Chris Mannix joins the show.
Mannix.
Obviously, Chris Broussard, Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good to see you as always.
We're lacking Nicks and Jennas. Is that so? If there's anyone that knows anything about sports named Nick or Jenna, we have an empty seat for you. Anyway, it's great to have you.
Great to be
here. All right, let's start this morning. The Giants have one of the most talented, not the most talented wide receiver in the league on their roster. And this morning we are talking about whether that wide receiver is a lock to remain on that roster. Odell Beckham Jr. coming off a season to forget is front and center with the Giants this morning over his off-the-field behavior. He's looking for a monster contract from New York. Team owner John Mara opened up for the first time since a video of Beckham was released and leaked a few weeks ago, showing Odell with what appeared to be an illicit substance. Mara said he was disappointed in Beckham and then mentioned, while they aren't shopping Odell, no one is untouchable. Mara went on to add, quote, I think too often he allows himself to be put in bad situations and needs to use better judgment. And as I've said before, I'm tired of answering questions about Odell's behavior and what the latest incident is. I think we know what we expect of him, and now it's up to him. So, Nick, I'll start with you. Should the Giants really consider trading Odell Beckham Jr.? And let's just say, it's not what John Mara said, but he did say now no one is untouchable.
Well, and it is a departure from a lot of the things he said.
Sure.
He opened up the possibility not only of them trading him, but he has now gone back on what he had said earlier, which was, we know Odell's going to get a new contract. We want to give Odell a new contract. Now he seems open to the idea of not giving Odell a new contract, which I think is one of the reasons he's open to the idea possibly of moving Odell, because I don't know how happy Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be if you ask him to play out the 5th year of his rookie deal when he has, despite missing a season, greatly exceeded any possible expectations for production in his rookie deal. So the question is, should they be open to trading Odell? Yes. Personally, he might be my favorite player in football. I would be open to trading Odell. But if I trade Odell Beckham, I have to be honest about who I am, what I'm doing, what my future holds. I have to also field calls on Eli Manning, and I have to assuredly take a quarterback with the first pick. If you are trading your best player, who is still young, who is far and away your most talented player on your offense, an offense that the only reason it has had any type of life the last 4 years, last year it didn't have life, he wasn't there, is because of him, well then you are, in addition to trading JPP, you are tearing this thing down and rebuilding anew, which maybe is the right move. So would I be open to trading Odell? Yeah. I would listen to calls. You want to give me a first and a third for Odell Beckham? I'll listen to that. I will listen to those offers. But if I am going to do it, then what I am saying is we are full on rebuild. If Eli stays, it's only as a mentor. We are drafting a quarterback, and we are starting fresh with the new GM and the new head coach.
Well, you mentioned, you start off by saying this is a departure for John Mara. And speaking of departures, remember with Ben McAdoo, he gave him the vote of confidence. Then he comes out and says nothing's guaranteed. Right. And next thing you know, McAdoo and the GM, Jerry Reese, are fired. So I'm with you. I don't think this is, if some people should not take this as they're trying to get rid of Odell, or even that they're looking to get rid of Odell. He said, John Mara, I hope it does not come to trading him. But this was a warning to Odell to straighten up. And I get it. I felt like John Mara came off as more exasperated than angry.
Sure.
Like, and if I'm an owner of an NFL team, and I've got a young kid, no matter how talented he is, but he's obviously immature. He's had these issues that I have to deal with, and now he's asking me to be the highest paid player in the league, or among the highest paid players in the league.
Certainly the highest paid wide receiver.
At his position.
Yep.
I get where Mara's coming from. I want more maturity. And look, to me, the Giants hold all the cards. I don't have to get you this long-term contract this year. I mean, you may have forfeited that option with your behavior, which we saw on video. I could let you play out this season and then franchise you if I have to. I could let you play out this season, see how well you play coming off the injury, and if you don't show the maturity I want to see, then trade you when your value is higher than it is right now. It's still high, but you are coming off injury
selling
too.
low.
Yeah,
you would be coming off injury and controversy. Even if he still has a lot of trade value, right now as we sit here this moment, Odell has the least trade value he's ever had.
Yes.
Since he's become a star.
No question. So I like what John Mara said. I don't think it was, mean-spirited. I think it was, like I said, exasperation. And he hopes, clearly, that OBJ straightens up. And you got a chance to straighten up.
This isn't a reaction to this latest video. This is just a reaction and a departure from what we heard John Mara said last year, at the end of last season, which was, yes, Odell's going to get a contract. Now it just doesn't seem as sort of a locked-in thing. What I'm curious about is, it sounds a little bit like your tone has changed just a bit. I feel like if we had asked you last year, you would have said, no, you don't change the best player in your team, and somehow that has changed.
Well, they have the #2 pick of the draft is what's changed. They have the opportunity, if they want, they have a new head coach, a new GM, the #2 pick of the draft. So if they want to remake their entire team, he is their most tradable, best tradable asset. So that is why I'd be open to it. Also, did you say this is not a reaction to the video? Because I think it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the final straw.
I think it's absolutely.
It's the final straw, but it is not a reaction just to this, because if this happened to a different player, it'd be a slap on the wrist or a warning. But you can't say this is just a warning to you. It's not that he hasn't heard warnings. Didn't he meet with ownership?
No, but it's a
year?
warning that now, it's to a point where we may consider moving you. I mean, he was asked, will he be back in 2018 with the Giants? And he said, I can't answer that one way or the other right now.
The only things that have changed, as far as we know publicly, since John Mara said he's getting a new contract, and what he said this weekend was the video, and then also the other story, and now this has not gotten the attention, but Odell's being sued for millions of dollars because someone allegedly got beat up in his house, not by Odell, and again, that's the type of thing where you hear it and you're like, man, this guy going after an athlete for his money. But I would imagine John Mayer's like another headline, another thing where, rightly or wrongly, you are being talked about for the wrong reasons. Now, so would I be open to it? Yeah, I'd be open to it. I do think there is a way that Odell and the Giants can both get what they want out of this situation. And the Giants want to protect themselves and give Odell more incentive to correct the behavior. And Odell wants his contract. I would absolutely come to Odell Beckham before training camp with a new contract, with a contract that makes him the highest paid player highest paid wide receiver in the league. But I would put in that contract clauses such as CeCe alluded to the fact that Odell very well might already be in the substance abuse program where he's randomly drug tested. I would put in that contract, hey, man, you ever miss a game due to suspension, a drug suspension, all the guarantees in your contract void. The Kansas City Chiefs had a contract like that with Dwayne Bowe. It wasn't exactly that, but he got popped on a weed charge, and they'd allowed them to void a lot of his guarantees. Now, he obviously wasn't the player Odell is, so usually great players don't sign deals with those types of parameters.
But also great players don't always have the history that.
Exactly right.
He may not want to sign something like that.
Do you think he would sign something like that?
I think.
Because he seems to not be able to control himself.
Here's the thing. He's put himself in a position where he's going to have to accept that that's the offer I'm going to make. If I'm going to do it now.
Exactly.
I can wait and see what you do this year, see if you show maturity, see if you play at the same level, and then we don't have to worry about those types of things.
The Giants have the hammer here. They've got an $8.5 million, him under contract for $8.5 million this year. Then they can franchise him next year. They could theoretically franchise him again. So they have but what they don't want to do is alienate their best player. What they don't want to do is have a guy who is the only reason, in my eyes, Eli Manning did not play himself out of the league 4 years ago when he led the league in interceptions at a 69 quarterback rating was the arrival of Odell Beckham. What they would like is Beckham to be happy and want to be a Giant. The Giants like the fact that when the NFL does a Super Bowl commercial, that they don't just have Eli to be involved in it. They're like, hey, Eli with Odell. They like some of the profile that comes along with him. What you said, Odell can't control himself. That's further than I would go with it. But what I will say is this. Odell clearly has shown a propensity towards self-destructive behavior. And CC mentioned it when he referred to Lawrence Taylor. Said the greatest Giant ever wasn't able to save himself from himself, and now, 20 years post-career, is still dealing with some of these struggles. I don't think Odell's struggles are on that level, but I do think that if I'm the Giants, I say, Odell, we'll give you your money, but we are protecting ourselves here. Because the offseason where you knew you were supposed to get your money, you've still shown up in the news because you're allegedly laying in bed next to a model doing drugs.
That's why it's a risk to give him the money.
That's what I say. But this is also
they
after.
have to right now. And as far as him being happy, look, he has to play well. It does him no good to go out there and mope and not play well.
No, but he
needs to play well.
Oh, I don't think it's about him not playing well. I think it's about him playing. I think it's about would he hold out? Would he? I don't think it's if he shows up, is he going to go half speed? He's too good of a player, and football's too dangerous of a game. The question is, would he hold out? Would he say, you guys said I'm getting my money? He's going to say, some old video came out. That's all. I've never been arrested. I've never this, and now I don't get my money.
But he has to know that his stock is as low as it is right now, and the only way to change that is two things: stay out of trouble and get on the field and play well. And I think those are the only two things he has in his favor. The other big story this week in March Madness, it continues. We're going to discuss that next on First Things First.
A call went against